landed at last at Melbourne with all the support and help of Baasu consultants. I'm so happy. I feel very blessed. Thank you so much, Baasu team. I was looking out for more opportunities abroad. After that, I came to Baasu and we decided to go in for the 186 considering my age. Initially, I thought that the process is being delayed from your side. But one thing what I had to do is
Hello viewers, today we're going to meet a very important visa success story, a 186 employer nomination scheme, direct entry visa for a chef, Haseeb Ahmed. And this visa process is definitely a great experience for many of you who's looking at Australia as a career destination, mainly to apply for a permanent residency as a direct entry. Because his process is such an interesting event happen in the entire sequence. And I thought it's a good idea that we can share that his experience to you so that there's a lot of learning for you in this entire process. Hi Haseeb, how are you?
Hello sir.
Congratulations first of all.
Thank you sir.
186 direct entry permanent residency visa, it's always a special for everybody. It's not an easy visa to get through, but I'm sure that your experience is phenomenal because the process which you started and you come to us for the skill assessment, and we've been with your journey for nearly 2 years,
yes,
or even 3 years,
yes,
because of the COVID we got stuck. So we thought it's a good idea that we can share your experience with us as well as to our audience so that they can understand what is important for this process and what to expect, what to not to expect on this process. So I'm very happy that finally it became a great success story.
Yes.
And so we just want to ask you a few questions so that you can share your experience with us. So can you please tell us about that why you wanted to go to Australia?
I was looking out for more opportunities abroad, sir. So I selected Australia as a better place.
Mm-hmm.
I have an overall experience of more than 20 years as a chef, sir.
Right.
So initially what I thought was I wanted to go abroad.
Mm-hmm.
So then I selected Australia because it has got more opportunities when compared to other countries being a continent.
Right.
And because of the climate and people and culture, I selected Australia.
Mm-hmm.
And there are more employment opportunities also.
Right.
So I had to go through this process, sir.
Excellent. One of the very interesting aspect of Haseeb's file is that he wants to go to Australia to start as a 482. In fact, he reaches around about 3 years ago, before COVID. Then the process has shifted because of the delay happens to COVID, that 2 years the borders were shut. Haseeb, that why that you wanted to start the process on 482 and later you decided that you can go only on 186. What was the reason?
Age was the reason, sir. Initially, I tried going in with the 482, sir.
Right.
That was with a different consultant.
Mm-hmm.
And I had to wait there for a very long time. And the 482, the sponsorship went unsuccessful, sir.
Right.
The sponsor actually was not able to help me out.
Right.
And after that, I came to Baasu and we decided to go in for the 186 considering my age. I wanted to go and explore Australia. I wanted to settle down there.
Right. And you mainly came to us for a skill assessment.
Yes, sir. Initially I came there only for skill assessment, sir.
Right. So can you please take our audience through that and your experience about the skill assessment? In fact, you are one of the very last batches that you gone through the practical skill assessment.
Yes,
it was very intense. Also, and so I think that would be interesting if you can share some of your experience.
Initially, I had done my practical skill assessment also. And after that, doing this skill assessment, second time, it took some time, but I had to wait and I had to do it.
Mm-hmm.
It was a long process.
And by the time you finish your skill assessment, you are ready to apply. And that's where the COVID broke and then the whole thing has stopped.
Yes, sir. The borders were closed for almost for 2 years.
2 years, correct. And then there's so many things happened because your English has become invalid after 2 years, and your skill assessment is valid for only for 3 years. And at that time, that how you dealt with that kind of a frustration, because you had a plan, you worked there, and then you resign your job, aiming that you're going to Australia, and everything is become a haywire. And then how you handle that situation, both family-wise, professionally, and personally. I think that's something happens to a number of people when you look at a long-term visa, especially for Australia and Canada. Sometimes you plan a timeline and it overshoots the timeline, and that's where a lot of people goes through kind of a frustration. And I'm sure that you are one of a very, very important and unique file where it's just completely unexpected things happened, and then all your process is gone beyond the imagination of the timeline. So how did you feel at that time?
What you said is exactly right, sir. It overshoot all the time, sir.
Mm-hmm.
And one thing what I had to do is be patient. I had to manage things because I was focused and I had hope and faith with Baasu. I had to wait and do it, sir.
Okay. Now, so you came for a skill assessment.
Yes.
And you went through the skill assessment. It was a practical skill assessment, and it was quite an intense skill assessment you went through, and you became successful. And then you went back, and then you wanted to try for 186. And then you were looking at that point of time itself, you were looking at going for a direct entry. And you mentioned that your age is a factor, that you can't go and work for 2 years on 482. By the time your age bars at the 45, you can't apply for a PR. And did you at that point ever thought that even if you go for 482 for some time, because you waited for a long, or you are very determined to go for 186?
No, initially I was focused only on 482, sir.
Right.
Then after I came here, then only I decided that it is better to go in for 186 considering my age bar, sir.
And in your application, which is very unique because the application is filed few days before you turn 45. And you also asked many times, will I go through, my application will be successful because we are cutting too short. But we were very confident because your file was perfect and you got a very good skill assessment outcome. In fact, you gone through the skill assessment outcome on the second time?
Yes, sir.
So by the time you're ready with your sponsor, and then your skill assessment expired, then you have to resit for the skill assessment. And that time was your online skill assessment because during the COVID, right?
Yes, sir.
And so I want to ask that, what is the difference you felt going through a practical assessment or going for an online skill assessment?
To be honest, I felt practical was much easier, sir.
Was it? Okay. So how did you feel? I mean, why you felt that way?
The hands-on skills was much easier.
Right.
The online interview.
Then you explain about cooking,
yes,
then cooking
yes,
itself.
yes.
Okay, that makes sense, right? And when you came for that 186 direct entry, when we say we'll file, we are confident about your application, when we are confident about your file. At that point of time, when we filed and you got your medical forms, which is about only few days before you turned 45, and what was the hope you have to get through the visa?
I never hoped I will get the visa, sir, because it was just hardly 7 to 10 days to 45.
Right.
So it was just a chance. I was expecting a rejection, more of rejection, sir.
Okay, so got the visa.
Yes, sir. Yes.
Is a big surprise for
Yes,
you.
sir.
And not only that, your visa, whole family got the visa.
Yes, sir.
Primarily that your children who are expecting to be studying in Australia, I think that's a great kind of a gift you can give it to them.
Yes.
They can be a local student and they can go to Australia and study. And everyone looking at Australia to permanent residency, one of the main reasons they look at Australia is not just for them alone, but also for their kids' future and education. So that way, I think this is something, a great gift you can offer to your children, right?
It's a golden ticket, sir.
It's a golden ticket. It's a golden visa. Absolutely correct. Now, let's come back to your process. And then when we file your visa, then you have to redo your English and then redo the skill assessment. It not only shoots your timeline, it also shoots your budget because you have to go through the process again. Of course, you can't blame anyone because the COVID has shut the borders for 2 years. And also the the process has delayed. And at that point of time, how did you face the social and family pressure?
I had to go through all these things and I had to keep myself tight and patient, sir. That is the only option I had.
Right.
Because I knew it is getting delayed
Mm-hmm.
and it was totally going out of the time.
We know that Australian process is pretty much very streamlined, and then it goes through documentation. And while the visa is under process, you don't get much update. Either you can't check what is the stage you are in. It will always show that it is under process. And how was your experience that with us, that every time I remember you ask, definitely once in a week is a call comes in asking is there any update? And we were always say that's the status quo, pretty much under process. So did you really get angry with us?
To be honest, yes, sir. I was not angry. I was getting upset, sir.
You were getting upset, okay.
Because I was not, even though what the reality I was able to understand, but my situation made me think so, sir.
And I think that's where we felt that we always act as a shock absorber. So basically,
Yes,
the candidates has the frustration, their anxiety, but we know that the process is on the way, and we are very confident about your file. And we are also gone through your sponsor's file. And also that another important questions we want to ask is, it's very important that, and also very difficult to get a sponsor to give you a direct entry visa, direct 186, because they select people who they feel are very unique on the skills, and they also feel that they can definitely have a confidence that you can make a difference in their business. So how did you able to find that sponsor, and how that you are able to convince them to give you an 186 directly?
Initially, I had to go through an interview with the sponsor.
Right.
It took about 45 minutes to 1 hour.
Right.
Then after that, they felt that I would be an asset to their organization.
Right.
So they were ready to sponsor me, sir.
Right. And because it's something which not everybody is able to succeed, right? I mean, sponsors generally say, okay, we'll give you a 482. You come for 1 year, 2 year, and then you work. Then probably we'll see that whether you're worthwhile, that you can come for 186. And when we spoke to your sponsor, that one of the things we explained to them is that, look, I mean, if you feel that he's good, because your aim was not to going on a short-term visa. You wanted to look for a long-term plans in Australia. So I think then we explained to them, they understood, okay, this particular candidate, he is for 186. I think somehow they are happy to provide you the 186. I think that's a great turning point. Though, even I think some way COVID has helped you to get through 186 directly, that you are entering into a country as a permanent resident, not as a workforce into 482. And in the process, when we filed and then when we go through the medicals, what was your plans, that how you were able to engage, because you resigned your job, then again because of the delay you have to find another job, you have to join in another position. And I remember that you mentioned that that's not the position you used to work. You obviously you have to downgrade yourself work. How did you manage that professional kind of a pressure and the situation on the workplace?
I was more focused on going to Australia, sir.
Right.
So, as you said, I lost my position, expecting a shorter wait period, but it took a long time.
Right.
I had to take up the job, whatever I got, and had to be patient, sir.
Right. And what this Australian 186 permanent residency visa mean to you now, when you look back and then you got the visa in hand?
It's a lifetime achievement, sir.
Okay. So what's the plan you have? I mean, you're going there, you're going to work with the employer, and they're also excited to receive you, and they also waited such a long time.
Yes, sir.
And so what is the actual plan for them to give you on 186?
Based on my skills, they were satisfied.
Right.
So I have to be with my employer. I have to be faithful to him, because he is sponsored the 186 in goodwill and trust. So as I said, I should be an asset to the sponsor. So
you should be able to justify that decision. That's very good. Because your process took almost 12 months, more than 12 months. More than 12 months. Though at the time that some visas were fast tracking, but all of a sudden the whole process has slowed down, and again they've started clearing one by one. At that point of time, was your police clearance certificates and your medicals were intact, or you were able to redo it at the time of issuing your nomination and the visa?
The police clearance I had to redo, sir, but medicals they didn't ask me to redo it.
Right. So you're happy?
Yes, sir, I'm very happy.
So they're happy to take that, the
Yes,
medicals.
yes.
Right, fantastic. That would have saved some time and the process, right?
Yes.
And once you got your nomination, so how much time it took for you to get your visa? What the time between the nomination approval and the visa?
About 20 to 22 days, sir.
22 days, okay. And was there any query raised in your file to ask any clarifications?
Yes, sir. A couple of queries were raised, sir.
What do you remember? What was the queries?
It was my previous employment details and the salary certificate
right.
and a few experience letters also.
Okay. And how fast that communication has been reach you through our office, and how they supported in the process? Because I know that in an active file, they need to be vigilant all the time, almost every day, and they have to be constantly in touch. One way you will be frustrated and asking when the visa and what is the process, but still we need to ask what if it is required, it's required, right? So how did they handle that?
Communication was very instant, sir.
Right.
So as soon as the information was conveyed, I had to do the groundworks.
Mm-hmm.
And initially I thought that the process is being delayed from your side.
Right.
But I never expected that it is being done from the immigration department.
Right. And I remember in your process that we took little time, because you also said you wanted to file the visa because you are going to be 45. But
Yes.
In your file is one of the file which we were sitting on a hot seat, right? So, and every day counts, every hour counts in your file. But we were expected to file about a week before, but we took some time, make sure the file is good, and we also asked additional documentation from your sponsor. But at some point they were not very happy, but I think then at the end they provided everything. That delay of 1 week or 10 days, even I think 15 days, we felt it was very important because we wanted to make the file very strong and file. How did you feel? I think that every day you used to call whether it's been filed, and I remember those days that you every day there was a call, in fact sometimes 3 times a day. And how did you feel at the time?
Not only call, sir, I had to visit the office also.
Right, correct. But I think we were very particular. We are not filing the visa unless until we are 100% sure that everything is intact. So now you're look back that you're happy that the no compromise happened on your file.
It was an invisible support, sir. I would say the office, they have extended hands and supported me,
Mm-hmm.
which I was unable to feel.
Right. So I think it's at the happy ending, end of the day.
Yes, sir.
So everybody is happy. So it's always great to see a successful visa comes through. I mean, every visa, every file has its own risk in terms of the negative outcome. But the good thing about Australia is that everything goes through the documentation. There's a clear-cut checklist, the clear-cut requirement. The day the visa filed, it also matters. So we also want to make sure that, as I earlier said, we act like a shock absorber so that we make sure that we get the right document. So we are confident 100% so that the file can go through. And if at all, if you wanted to give a few advices to people who's looking at Australia, because you've gone through the process of 482 in terms of the skill assessment and English, and then you moved into a permanent residency. You are from a trade, which is a very popular hospitality trade. So if at all, if you wanted to give some advice to our viewers, what is the advice you can give it to them, especially if they look at Australia as a career destination?
Initially, I had gone to a familiar consultant who was trying to get me a sponsor for 482, but they were not able to do it properly. We had some issues with documentation also from the employer side, which went unsuccessful. And after that, I came to you. I would say that it took some time, but it was done properly. The documentation of the employer and the employee also. So I would strongly recommend, I would say, need to be patient, look at the documentation properly, then proceed to avoid rejections.
Very good. Thank you so much, Haseeb. I think it's nothing more, reliable and also first-hand information, then we talk to candidates like you, because we only look at the process on one side of the table, but you are on the other side of the table who it's easy for us to ask a document, but we know that how much time and effort you need to go and ask your employer, documents which even 5-year, 6-year old, and you need to reach them and get those documentation. So it's very important that you share your experience to the audience, because I know that many of the people these days looking at Australia, especially there's a lot of uncertainty on the other part of the world. So a lot of people looking at Australia as a career destination. So I really appreciate your time to come down and share your experience with us. And I wish you very good luck.
Thank you.
And I'm sure that your skill and expertise will definitely enrich the Australian hospitality industry.
Definitely.
And I'm sure that you will be an asset for the Australian hospitality industry. Not only your sponsor, but I'm sure that a lot to you can give it to the country. Yes. And good luck. And see you soon in Australia.
Thank you, sir. Definitely.
Thank you so much.